Hey, what's slicing everybody? Chris back with CAC Knives with a more of a knife discussion video today. In this video is mostly centered after people just getting into the hobby. And this is things that I wish I knew early on in my collecting that not only could have saved me a lot of time, could have saved me a lot of money too. As I've grown as a collector, I've figured all of these things out, and I wanted to give my experience in the hobby to maybe some people that are, novice, and just general things that you should know if you're just getting started or early into it, that I would have definitely told myself. And I wanted to go over them today. And the first point is, don't go all at once crazy, okay? And what I mean by that is when you're new to the hobby, especially in your first year, you see all kinds of new crazy stuff. Like even here on this table, if you're new to the hobby, you're probably like, oh, wow. I'm sure at least one of these knives on this table is really calling your name, depending on what kind of a collector you are. I could do certain things to probably make certain ones call your name a little more. But the point is, unless you really are 100% sure that you like a knife, try to get into a habit of buying just one at a time, maybe two. I probably average buying one knife a month anymore. And not only is that, good for my selecting, I generally enjoy the knife that I pick more every month that I get. But also, it allows you to enjoy the knife more. Because if you got 5 knives come in the mail the same week, they're all new. They're all in this, what I guess you want to call this honeymoon phase. And they don't feel as special. If I got all these knives on the table in at once, I might even get a couple of these knives. What if I got 2 of them in the same day? Is only one of them going to take the spotlight? Or, so that's probably my first tip. Limit buying like 2 knives at a time. Unless you're pre-ordering a knife, unless you're having like a custom knife made, try to limit that, okay? My second step is figure out what you enjoy. Early on in collecting, I suggest you get a bunch of cheaper knives that function in a lot of different ways. And what I mean by that is get a bunch of different knives that have different locking mechanisms, that have different means of deployment. Maybe get a few traditionals, get a few fixed blades, try to figure it out what it is you enjoy. OTFs, at least good American-made ones, are very expensive, so I understand that being hard to get into. You can get a Lightning OTF, which is a pretty cheap Taiwan-made OTF, to try that out. I highly recommend those. But, you really just need to get your foot in the door, get 1 or 2 Rough Riders, get maybe a couple fixed blades. Not only will it build you up a nice collection for a low amount of money, but you'll figure out what you like and you'll be able to grow from there. Now, sometimes you just really like the look of a knife or the design of a knife and it goes against what you like. For me, I do not like owning 2 of the same looking knife. That's one big standard for me. If I have 2 knives that look really, really similar, one of them usually gets the boot eventually. If you watch any videos on my channel, you can see that. And if you even just looking at this table here, none of these knives have any similarities. I'm not a very plain knife guy. I know my Demco's a little plain, but I actually love this knife for more the sharp block and the overall look of it than anything. But yeah, I like that. I like fidgetivity, and I like ease of carry. So I like to be able to carry what I own, and I like to be able to flip them open and shut smoothly, specifically with the reverse flick. I'm very keen on having a way to, you know, back flip my knives, and you need to figure that out. Maybe you like front flippers, maybe you like flipper tabs, maybe you're like me and really like to go crazy and customize some of your knives in your collection. Figure out what ails you, and I'm not saying only get those, but I am saying they're going to help you focus on what you like, and you're going to enjoy the knives that you get in the mail more often. The third thing that I would say is there will always be another. If you miss out, and this is kind of a quick point, if you miss out on a knife, you're going to find another knife that you like a lot. And this is kind of another point on the list that goes with this, but you got to watch out for the secondary market. This, just like any collection out there, the really rare ones that everybody wants, that maybe you also wanted, other people are going to be made aware that you want them. Here on this table alone, you know, this Finch here, I don't even know if this is available anymore. Finch is a company that sells out usually within a week or two on most of their releases. Brands like GEC, Hinderer, you know, I'm sure there's a lot of others. This one that I haven't reviewed on the channel yet, this was a limited edition Kaiser. Knives like those, they go fast, and then people buy them and put them on the secondary for a high price. Guys, there will always be something else that you love and enjoy. If you see a knife that you really love, you try to get it and you don't get it. Heck, I've seen knives sell in literally a matter of 20 seconds, and they were sold out. People had their information filled in. They were ready to push add to cart, checkout, and they were like a 3-button click system. Sometimes it even matters who has the best internet. And I know that sounds crazy, but it happens. It happens in the world of collecting anywhere, as far as I understand, and it's no different with knives. It's no different than the knife community. It's a very good community, but that kind of stuff still happens. So there's always going to be another knife, guys. You know, I've grown my knife collection I very, very much enjoy, and I've learned that myself. I haven't gotten everything that I would have wanted, but that's all right, and that's okay. My fourth tip would be to do your research. Yes, you need to do your research. Some knives are cheaper in some places. Some places have sales. Sometimes if there's a knife YouTuber that has done a review on a knife, he may change your mind if you like or dislike a knife. He may show you something that, oh no, like maybe I wouldn't like this knife then. Just take 5 minutes, take 10 minutes, do a little bit of research before you buy a knife. There's a few knives that I got years ago that I wish I would have done some research on, and I didn't, and I ended up not liking them, or, you know, I found out that I got screwed over because they were too high priced or something like that. So just do some quick research before you make a purchase, unless it's something that's timed. And if you know it's coming out, you know it's something that's limited quantity, try to do some research beforehand on things that are similar, and that'll help you out a lot. My fifth tip, and this might hit some people hard, is do not buy knives from only one country. Oh my gosh, I couldn't imagine if I only bought from one country. Like, I think the biggest focus here is USA buyers. People that only buy from America, man, you guys are missing out. There is so much great stuff out there in the world, you know, from Italy, from Taiwan, from El Salvador, you know, from the UK. There is so many cool knives, cool brands, and great companies that you're missing out on because you choose to only buy from America. And, you know, if you're so set in stone about that, then I guess you do you. But here's the thing. Even if you buy a Chinese-made knife or a knife from another country, let's take the 80-20.5. For example, this knife was designed by Andrew Demko. He lives in Pennsylvania. He is an American. So, every time one of his knives has been purchased, it's supported him, an American. Furthermore, if you purchase this from an American dealer, which I did, this one came from Smoky Mountain Knife Works, which is located in Tennessee. So there we go. I gave my money to support Andrew Demko, the designer, an American, and to Smoky Mountain, an American distributor. Now, did some money go to help manufacture this knife in Taiwan? Yes, it sure did. I'm not denying that at all. Not all of the funds were used to support America, but I still did support America with the purchase of this knife, and that's kind of the point that I'm trying to make. Same with Finch, American designer. Same with Kirby Lambert, who designed this Riot. You know, same with the New Breed EDC Clydesdale here. I mean, it's endless. Most of these companies or knives are supporting Americans in some way or another. Even if you're just buying from an American distributor, you supported America, okay? You supported an American business that would not be there without your purchase. You supported those American workers. So my point is, just because it's not fully USA made does not mean it doesn't support America. Furthermore, you're missing out. You missed out on pretty much everything on this table right here because you're not supporting, because you choose to only support American businesses. And again, that is your, view, your opinion, your money, but especially people who have budgets within the knife world, it's going to be hard for you to continue to only support American knife companies if you have a smaller budget. And yeah. Number 6, do not buy clones. This is so much different than the point that I just made. Now, I know this company here, Ifengro, they used to make clones. As far as I know, they don't do that anymore, which is why I have this knife here. I did not support them when they made clones. I do support them now because they have stopped being shady and they realized their mistakes and they've came back for them, and I can accept that and I can support that. But, as far as I understand, Gonzo, while they still make some of their own designs now, they also, make clones. And there's a lot of just random cheap companies out there that make clones. Guys, don't support that. Do not support clones. You are taken away from the original designer and from the person who is owed due to their rights to their knife. Just don't do it. Don't do it anywhere. Don't do it with knives. Don't do it with anything else. Just don't do it. Okay? This one might hit some people hard too, but the blade steel does not matter as much as you think it does, okay? Trust me. Even early knife collecting, how fast do you acquire like 10 knives? And at that point on, you can be a steel junkie if you want to. But at the end of the day, even just these 6 knives on the table, if these were the only 6 knives that I own, how long would it take? If I rotated these knives regularly, how long would it take before they started to dull out? So, let's add a 7th knife on the table and let's make it a budget knife. Let's add my rat here. And I got 1 knife for every day of the week. And if I cycled them every single day of the week, how many weeks would it take for just regular EDC use for these knives to really start showing signs of dullness, considering I'm only using 1 of them, 1 per day, out of the week. So 4 days a month. Each of these knives are getting carried roughly 4 days a month. It's going to take a long time for even the worst steels to start showing signs of wear use. None of these knives on this table have the worst steels, okay? So keep that in mind. I think some of the worst steels to stay sharpened are, like 8CR and 448, things like that. Which is none of these steels, okay? The worst steel on this table is probably D2, and D2 actually can stay sharp for quite a long time if it's heat treated correctly. So keep all that kind of stuff in mind. If you are a steel junkie and you really care about it, then like I say, that's your opinion. But trust me, if you're new knife collecting, you're gonna have so many knives. I'm not saying get ripped off. I'm not saying pay $200 for a D2 knife. Don't do that. Definitely, that's where the research part of this comes in. But what I am saying is, you know, if there's a knife with a blade steel, that the steel might be a little bit overpriced for the knife, but the handle materials are awesome. What are you waiting on? You know, I did not get this knife, even though I think the blade steel is not up to par with its price. The blade steel is 10A, and I know they've eventually upgraded their blade steels, though they've also increased the price. I got this because I wanted an 80-20.5 with a shark lock. That was my main point of getting this. And I was like, 10A is an upgrade from AUS 8. So, you know, it was worth it to me. And sometimes that's what matters. And like I said, I have so many knives. Guys, counting my traditionals, I probably had at least 100 knives. Probably more than that, honestly. So I don't have to ever worry about needing something sharp. I always have something sharp. So yeah. Tip number 8, watch out for the cool crap. This is such a tip that you need early on. It's not even funny. The cool crap. How about something that has a glass breaker on the end of it with a seat belt cutter and has a little bit of serration on the blade, and you know, it just looks so tactical and cool, and maybe it has a flashlight on it. Man, how could you ever have a better EDC? Guys, that crap's junk, okay? It's junk. Here's an example of not the exact thing I was describing, but this thing is insanely heavy. Mass-produced. Says USA design, handcrafted in China. I honestly don't even believe that. Yeah. The cool crap factor, basically if a knife is under $20, beware, okay? Because for under $20, the only real things that I usually recommend are maybe some things like Rough Riders. The Rough Rider branded knives, they're usually pretty good. Things like Maractives, if we're talking about a fixed blade, under $20, it's not too bad. Pretty good fixed blades, actually. Highly recommend them. They are made in Sweden. In the folding knife world, like modern folding knives, I don't think you start seeing actual good folding knives till about $25. Ones that are made with bearings, with good fit and finishes, good action, you know, good materials. Kershaw makes some around that price range that are pretty decent. These Ifengros are around that price range, are pretty decent. Some Sencuts and Spyderco Birds start coming into the picture at like $30. Things like that. If it's under 20 though, guys, you guys really need to watch out. I pay a little bit more money and get something a little bit better, okay? That cheap crap, eventually you're going to realize is not good, and you don't want that in your collection. Another example is there is so many OTFs out there that are like this, okay? Look, see, the cheap crap comes looking like that. You don't want, look at that. You don't want that in your collection, okay? Does it look cool? Sure. Yeah, it looks cool, you know, and from a zoomed out point of view, you can't even tell all those flaws. But man, once you start zooming in, I mean, look how much the steel's fading, changing colors and stuff like that. It's cheap junk, okay? I'm not kidding when I say that. It's cool crap is what it is to me. That's what I'm referring it to, and that's what we're going with. My ninth point was watch out for the secondary. That kind of went hand in hand with there'll always be another knife, so we kind of already went over that. And my 10th point is wait to buy an expensive knife. Now, when I say expensive, is going to mean a lot of different things to different people. To some people, expensive is, you know, $100 for a knife. Some it's $200, $500, $1,000. I've never bought a knife that's $1,000. That would be pretty hard for me to afford. But to some people, this level would be expensive. With all the mods done to it, you know, this was a good $300. To me, this was a grail purchase for me. I had my eyes on this knife for years, and I wanted to 100% be sure this was something that I wanted. It may be the most expensive knife I ever purchased. But it took me a long time to know that I wanted this. I know I wanted Zircuti on it. I know I wanted Damasteel on it. I kind of like wood looks to an extent on knives. And I really like Kirby Lambert as a designer. And I know I'd never be able to afford one of his customs, but after seeing Metal Complex unbox these years ago as well, I was like, yep, that's it. Hearing the sounds, and I know Riot is pretty much the top dog in manufacturing pocket knives. So yeah, I knew that was one of my grails. And I know another grail eventually that I want is a XM18, a Hinderer. So that is on my list to get eventually, but I'm pretty patient. I want to make sure that I get it, you know, at a time where I can afford it. And that's the thing. You want to make sure that the expensive knife that you get is not only the one that you 100% want, that you're going to be, you know, crazy over, because I'm still crazy over this knife, and I probably always will be. It's just cool that I own it. That just tickles me on the inside, to be honest. But I didn't get this knife until probably 4 years or so into collecting. I'm not saying you have to wait that long. If you're somebody that has, you know, a lot of wealth, then I suppose by all means go ahead and buy expensive knives. But, you know, if you're just an average Joe, and, you know, this is kind of your hobby money, your side money, then, you know, make sure that the expensive knife you're getting is what you want for your collection. Make sure it's something you're still going to look at in 6 months and be like, wow, this thing's great. Because I still look at this knife this way, and I've owned it for about 6 months now. And yeah, I'm very glad that I purchased it. It looks way better in person than ever did in video, and that's, you know, that's kind of the thing you're wanting to go for. And you don't want to be disappointed when your expensive knife gets here and you're like, dang, I wish I'd have got something else. There's always going to be something great, guys. Always. There's always going to be something cool. Figure out what you like first, then move on to the expensive stuff, okay? When you're new to knives, everything kind of looks cool, everything's neat. So try to stay in the lower ends and then move yourself up. You don't want to just go hardcore into it. I really remember, as kind of a little story, a Benchmade Griptilian. When my first year knife collecting, the Benchmade Griptilian was a goal of mine at first, and I thought that was an expensive knife at first. That thing was like 120 bucks back then. The mini Griptilian, the small one, was like 120 bucks. And I thought it was the coolest thing, made in America, all blacked out, you know, had a serrated blade, you know, half serrated blade on it, a tan toe. I thought that thing was the coolest thing ever. And to be honest, now I don't really collect Benchmades. I kind of wanted to pick Benchmade or Spyderco to go into, and I like Spyderco's better. And that's something I learned over time. At first, I thought Spyderco's were ugly. I thought Spyderco's were the ugliest brand. This little big hole in the blades of all the Spyderco's, and I just thought they were so ugly. And I was like, man, that Spyderco logo is really weird and kind of childish looking. And that's what I was thinking when I first got into collecting. That's how I looked at them, and now they're one of my favorite brands out there. So that just goes to show, you know, you learn as you go on. I wish I would have told myself then. I could have, instead of got a $120 Griptilian, I could have got me a, at that time, I could have got me a Spyderco Para 3 instead. And I would have enjoyed that way more, and I know that now. But I didn't then. And that was kind of the purpose of this video. Yeah, I hope I helped some of you guys that are new into the hobby. I'm glad you're here. It's a very fun hobby. It's a very rewarding hobby. The community is great. The community overall does a lot of fundraisers. There's a lot of good knife groups on Facebook that you can research, and I highly recommend you join to find other people. There's brand-specific groups, which you got to kind of watch out for. They're kind of snobby about what you post in there and what you talk about, but just the overall fun groups, the ones that are just like EDC knife groups, not even just the buy, sell, and trade ones, just regular EDC knife groups. Those are the ones you get into, guys. Those are the best ones. I always have great discussions in there, and that's a good way to get into the community. But yeah, I hope this video was informative. I show off a lot of knives that are within this kind of realm. I like different. I like doing customized work, as you can clearly see. I like things that are wild, and I pretty much always will. And if you guys like that, consider subscribing and sticking around. I upload at least one video a week, sometimes two. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, and I will see you in the next video.